Alright folks, welcome back to the Don's channel. I am the Don Father and I'm just going to quickly talk through a little bit of the breaking news coming out of the AFL this morning. It's to do with the ever-changing COVID-19 situation in Victoria. Obviously they've had a spike of this last week or so in cases. Queensland, Western Australia, South Australia seem to have it under control, and because of the spike in Victoria, Queensland's strict measures are still in place, so they're restricting any movement from Victoria into Queensland is going to make you have to quarantine for a couple of week period before you can do anything, which is fair enough. They are looking after people's health and well-being before sport. So the AFL's fixtures have changed. Richmond were due to play West Coast Eagles on Thursday. They are now not playing one another. West Coast Eagles had been in the Queensland hub that had already existed, and obviously Richmond playing out of Victoria, so they are not travelling to Queensland for this game, which is the sensible thing to do from the AFL. They are now playing Melbourne. I can't remember off the top of my head who West Coast Eagles are playing. The Thursday night fixture, that's what that was, and it's now being changed. So if you've got your tips in, you're probably going to have to do them again when it's available to do so. Obviously now with the colder weather coming into Victoria, you're starting to see natural spikes like we had here in Europe around about our spring, winter time. You're getting your cooler weather, you're starting to see your spikes. I don't know if it's because social distancing has not been adhered to or why it's happening. I'm not an expert, I'm not going to speculate. I just know that colder weather brings more cases of this virus, and Victoria is probably one of the colder states as well, isn't it? So particularly Melbourne. So you're getting a spike there, whether or not the social distance is being applied to it has nothing to do with what I'm going to talk about here. I believe the solution now for the AFL is to actually say, look, Victoria is a no-go. It looks like from their government there's going to be no crowds at the events in the AFL whatsoever, or any sport for that matter. There's going to be no crowds being able to attend their sporting venues. So now's the time to act. Act now. Get the Victoria teams into the Queensland hubs or into the Western Australian hubs, and make one in South Australia as well as Western Australia. And in these places that have been able to control this virus really well so far, where they're actually allowing crowds, let the paying public go and watch the teams they love. I know for Victoria teams you're going to have to travel. It's not something you're used to as much as the Western Australian team, South Australian team, but do you know what? For the benefit of this game, it has to happen. I think it's common sense says have it in Western Australia. They're saying at the Optus they're going to be able to have 60,000 strong crowd. I think something similar is coming out of South Australia at the Adelaide Oval. You're already starting to see crowds up in Queensland, albeit it's been small ones. They're very, very strict. But they're doing the right thing. They're being very sensible and smart about the whole thing, trying to control the virus, putting people's lives first before sport. However, it is now time, I believe, for Victoria. The Victoria government has spoken, saying there's not going to be crowd. It's now time for the AFL, in my opinion, to cut their losses and say no games in Victoria for the rest of the 2020 season. Yes, I can appreciate people from Victoria being a huge fan base from Victoria within the AFL. The clubs there are massive clubs. They're going to be probably quite annoyed with me saying that. But if you want this sport and you want to see it going ahead in 2020, and you want to see crowds at it, it's a sensible and common sense thing to do. The problem with common sense is, though, it's not very common, is it? like let's be honest here. I think Silly Gilly, Jill McLachlan, or whatever way you pronounce his name, has actually said they're ready to move, they're ready to act, they're ready to have their hubs in Western Australia, South Australia, if they need to. There's a plan there to do so. I think delaying it it's not wise. Look, you're going to keep getting your spike. It's going to keep going up, in my opinion, based on what I've seen in Europe. Hopefully that doesn't mean loss of lives. Fingers crossed that's not the case. But if you want the sport to go ahead, let's get it in these hubs. Let's get the crowds at the footy games. It's a better spectacle for the viewers on the TV. After all, it's called the Australian Football League, not the Victorian Football League anymore. So the sport should be played in Australia. If that means playing it in other parts, other states within Australia to get the season finished, then so be it, because I simply want to see the campaign finished in 2020. I think since they've came back initially from round one, when we weren't too sure what was going to happen, it wasn't very good, but since we've had the break, we've came back. Round 2, 3 and 4 have been absolutely brilliant, really enjoyable. You've seen little bits of crowds at the games. I think the crowd noise through the TV, all at the end of the day, it is fake crowd noise, but it actually does add to the viewing if you're watching it on the TV. So all in all, I think the standard of the footage has been pretty good. There's been some low scoring games, but the competitiveness of it, the tight games that we're seeing, it's been really good. We've seen some crazy runs from Port Adelaide. Gold Coast Suns are doing well. St Kilda's doing alright as well. Teams that wouldn't necessarily do as well, really starting the campaign off to an absolute stormer. And big teams like the West Coast Eagles, Richmond, even Collingwood haven't been convincing so far yet as well. So all in all, it's making it really enjoyable to watch because it's unpredictable. But my opinion is, let's start the hubs now. Let's get the quarantine period, and if you have to quarantine from Victoria, going from Victoria to Western Australia, let's get it, do it now. Don't delay and delay to delay it again. Do it now, get your delay, and then finish off the season and compact the season if you have to. But no more messing about, hemming and hawing, dilly-dallying. I know they've got to be fluid at the ever-changing situation with this virus. They've got to be transparent and be tell everybody what's actually happening. But everybody can see what needs to happen now. Victoria's not going to have a crowd. I don't even think, and I staunchly believe, the home of the grand final is the MCG, but even this year, common sense again should mean that it should be at the Optus Stadium in front of a 60,000 crowd of supporters, people who love the game, getting to go watch it on the day and getting... do you know what? I would actually be quite excited about it, to see it in a different venue, even though it's Heartland, you know. It's the MCG is the mecca of football, isn't it? Everybody from a young kid dreams of playing grand final footy at the MCG. Nobody could have foreseen what's got happened this year, but for me personally, I want to see crowd. I want to see fans getting to enjoy the occasion, getting to go to the game if their club gets there. And I think the Optus Stadium is the right place to have it this year. So, anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I appreciate this might annoy a lot of Victorians, but we've got to think of the footy first, in terms of safety for the players, in terms of safety for the crowds. Victoria seeing a spike, and as I said, it would be common sense to now look at bringing in the hubs sooner rather than later, because we don't want to see postponed games, rearranged games, constantly having to change things when you can just nip it in the bud now and make and create these new hubs. So anyway, let me know your feelings on this topic. I've got a funny feeling it is going to develop over the coming weeks even more until they ultimately make the decision. So we'll probably see. As I said, it's going to be a very fluid situation. The AFL have been very forthcoming with the information of what they plan on doing, so credit to them for that. And they are trying their hardest to have footy on for the fans, and credit to them for that. But the underlying factor has to be, it has to be safe for the players, has to be safe for their families, has to be safe for the supporters as well. So thanks very much, everyone. Stay safe where you are, and as I said, AFL tipping round 5 will be changed, so if you've put your tips in, don't forget to change them again when you're available to do so. Thanks very much, and I'll talk to you all soon. Goodbye.